If there is one practical thing that Democrats can do right now that would help them regain power, it's never speak to Trump in person. No, I'm kidding. That's stupid. No, it's this. Inspire your moderates to vote in the primaries. Get that base excited. You have the numbers. After Congressman Moulton made his comment about his daughter not getting run over, he added, "But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Well, then change what you're supposed to be afraid.
The DNC is in turmoil and Ma isn't pulling any punches. You might think a party without leadership vision or a clear message would get his sympathy, but instead he's lighting them up. The outspoken Real Time with Bill Maher host went after AOC and the Democrats for refusing to learn from their last brutal loss.
People ask me all the time, why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted for them.
Let's get into it. Kalpis Ma opened by expressing frustration that the very party he's backed with his vote, his money, and his influence has pushed him aside for years. Even though he's been one of their most visible cultural allies, they've continually steered clear of his platform. He's extended invitations time and again for them to appear on Real Time with Bill Maher. Still, they never accept. Why? Because they fear tough questions and can't defend their shaky positions against real challenges. Rather than engaging in honest debate, they retreat into an echo chamber, reinforcing Maher's argument that the left has become weak, insecure, and intellectually complacent. But what about Republicans? Are they just as afraid?
They take their beating like a man. You went down to Mar-a-Lago and kissed his after that.
Oh, bullshit.
When the Mueller report came out, I feel like you mischaracterized it, and I feel that was shady. But you campaigned for election deniers in 2022. This I do not forgive. The Republicans, including you, January 6th, etc., are the ones who are no longer willing to play by the rules of democracy.
I feel like you mischaracterized it, and I feel that was shady. But you campaigned for election deniers in 2022. This I do not forgive. The Republicans, including you, January 6th, etc., are the ones who are no longer willing to play by the rules of democracy. It's Amendment 22. No persons shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And yet, you keep talking about Trump's third. Maybe you should have this. Of course, Republicans have delivered their share of comebacks, some sharp, others awkward, that probably hit Ma directly. But that's not the focus here. The real takeaway is that whether they win or lose, Republicans actually show up. They sit across from Ma, take the criticism, and stay in the debate even when their arguments are weak or unrefined. That readiness to step into the spotlight, despite the risk of stumbling, shows a degree of toughness and accountability. Unlike the Democrats, they don't retreat to comfort zones. They confront the challenge, and that alone says a lot. I would love to have AOC on the show and Mandami and Elizabeth Warren, but I can't subpoena the guests and I can't fix that. What the Democrats are scared of more than anything else. I mean, obviously, besides glutenous being primered from the far left, even though most Democrats are not far left. They're mild-mannered and moderate, at least at my bathhouse. It's no secret that the far left is steering the woke agenda. What's truly concerning, though, is how much louder and more dominant they've become than the Democratic Party itself. Rather than standing on principle, the party caves and caters to every demand, no matter how extreme. It's as if the Democratic National Committee has given up its backbone, choosing appeasement over real leadership. The result is a hollow institution, more focused on satisfying the loudest activists than representing the broader American public. What the party truly needs isn't another figurehead yielding to the mob, but a leader with the courage and conviction to finally draw the line and push back against the far-left grip. Even though most Democrats are not far left, They're mild-mannered and moderate. At least at my bathhouse, if there is one practical thing that Democrats can do right now that would help them regain power, it's never speak to Trump in person. No, I'm kidding. That's stupid. After Congressman Moulton made his comment about his daughter not getting run over, he added, "But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Well, then change what you're supposed to be afraid of. What Bill Maher highlights couldn't be more on point. In recent years, many moderates within the Democratic Party have quietly shifted toward the political center or even leaned right. These are individuals who once proudly identified as Democrats, but now feel pushed aside by a party increasingly controlled by the far-left agenda. Their reality is many of them would gladly return if the Democratic National Committee showed the courage to break, even partially, from the ideological hold of the woke fringe. Instead of reclaiming balance, the party treads lightly around the far left, as if walking on eggshells, terrified of backlash and censorship that come with resistance. Until the DNC chooses to sever itself from this extremism, moderates will remain distant, leaving the party stuck in a cycle of appeasement and fear-based politics. Do you think that he would have the power and influence to be able to, usher in socialism? He definitely has the power and influence to elect J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party nationally. Repans when you let the Democrat socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves social. When you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get. So let's lay this out plainly. Bill Maher's point is that if the Democratic Party were to put Zoran Mani forward as their front-runner for the 2028 elections, they'd essentially be handing the win to J.D. Vance without a fight. Ma contends that Mani's brand of woke socialist policies might resonate with Gen Z voters who often favor radical change and progressive ideas. The issue, however, is generational math. While Gen Z is on the rise, they're not the largest force at the polls. Millennials, Gen X, and especially baby boomers still hold the majority. And Ma argues that Mamani's rhetoric won't appeal to them. If anything, it could push them away. The bottom line is clear. Placing the party's future on a far-left figure like Mamani amounts to political self-destruction, a move that would all but secure a Republican victory. If you're engaging with a psycho, who all they care about is controlling you, they're very good at diagnosing problems. They're very good at figuring out what your weak points are. And that's, I would argue, what a lot of these people are doing. They recognize that if you can focus on these problems, then you can use that dissatisfaction to gain power for yourself. To me, Mamani isn't offering real leadership. He's capitalizing on frustration. He seizes on genuine flaws in the system, not to repair them, but to weaponize them, stoking anger and resentment. Rather than putting forward thoughtful, workable solutions, his rhetoric only deepens the very problems she claims to oppose. It's a familiar tactic. Assign blame, stir emotions, but never deliver results. And let's be honest, socialism, no matter how well packaged, has never produced prosperity anywhere it's been implemented. Yet, many young voters who haven't lived through or studied its failures are swept up by Mamdani's promises. They hear ideals dressed as progress, but overlook the serious consequences: economic stagnation, loss of freedoms, and greater division. Mamdani isn't guiding a movement towards solutions. He's selling a fantasy that history has shown to be dangerous. While the youth applaud without asking the hard questions, this must be horrible for a guy like you who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay. Who's like a straight-up communist? I mean, he is. He talks about, the things that communists say. He wants free grocery stores, free buses. I want him to win. You want him to win? Yeah, I think every 20 years or so, we need applause. Every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism, so we can crack it up again. While some of us have studied history and know exactly what socialism leaves in its wake, and we're not eager to repeat those mistakes. So no, we're certainly not hoping for Mamani's victory. Quite the opposite. Our hope is that more Democrats wake up before it's too late and see the damage his leadership would cause if he ever gained power. The warning signs are already in plain sight. Policies that sound promising in theory but collapse in practice. Promises that stir emotions yet erode the core of a strong economy and a free society. What we're really hoping for is clarity. Clarity for voters to look past the slogans and polished rhetoric to grasp the long-term harm hidden in Mamani's platform. If Democrats truly value their party's survival, they'll block him at the ballot box before he drags it into ruin. Socialist slogan used to be workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is trust us. This time it won't be a mess. So yeah, when the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Anurian Bevan. He said, "What could go wrong?" He said, "We have a nation bedded on coal surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either." In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's socialism. On paper, socialism can seem enticing. Utopian vision where everyone shares equally and no one is left behind. Bhutan. Reality, it has consistently turned out to be far worse than capitalism. At least with capitalism, even with its flaws, effort, creativity, and persistence often lead to real rewards. You have the opportunity to build, to earn, and to create a future for yourself and your family. Socialism, on the other hand, flips that promise upside down. In practice, it becomes a system where the illusion of equality hides a power grab by the elite. They seize the bulk of the benefits while ordinary people, no matter how hard they work, are left with nothing. The outcome isn't fairness. It's stagnation, bitterness, and poverty masquerading as progress. History has proven again and again, socialism doesn't liberate people. It traps them. One must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people own ignorant. That arrogance has always been their downfall. If Democrats continue caving to the loudest activists instead of standing for reason and balance, they won't just lose voters, they'll lose their future. America needs leaders with courage, not figureheads too timid to stand against extremism. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed this fiery commentary, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more content like